Tonight, the deadly flu surge pushing hospitals to the brink. ICU beds filling up from coast to coast. Patients sick with COVID, RSV, and the flu. More than 13 million infections reported already this year. New York City now recommending wearing masks again. Our Gabe Gutierrez with the doctors now battling a tripledemic. Double threat, a monster winter storm dumping nearly a foot of snow out west as quick-moving systems take aim at the East Coast. Freezing rain and snow expected from the Midwest all the way up through New England. Bill Cairns is standing by to time it all out. And Griner back at home. The WNBA star touching down in San Antonio, reunited with her family after spending nearly 10 months in Russian custody. The U.S. swapping Griner for a convicted Russian arms dealer. The growing concerns tonight about what the man dubbed the Merchant of Death will do with his newfound freedom. And motive for murder. Disgraced former attorney Alex Murdaugh back in court, charged with killing his wife and son. The new theory from the prosecution tonight, what they say drove Murdaugh to do the unthinkable to his own family. Plus, the high-speed crash caught on camera in Texas. Two cars racing down a highway, smashing into each other, then spinning out of control. The charges one of those drivers is now facing. And forget about fine art or NFTs, why so many investors are now taking a shot on rare liquor bottles, some of them going for more than $1 million. We're going to take you inside the whiskey gold rush. Top Story starts right now. Good evening. I'm Gadi Schwartz in for Tom Llamas. We begin Top Story tonight with that tripledemic outbreak stretching hospitals to their limits. This flu season, the worst in more than a decade. And we're going to look at some of those numbers right now. 13 million Americans already infected by the flu this year, according to the CDC. 120,000 people hospitalized and 7,300 deaths reported. Hospitals from coast to coast are overwhelmed with a surge of patients, not only from the flu, but from COVID and RSV as well. Nearly 80% of beds are full nationwide. And in New York, that new advisory feels a lot like an early day of the pandemic. The city is now urging people to wear masks indoors and in crowded outdoor settings, regardless of vaccination status. COVID cases there spiking by 50% over the last 2 weeks. Gabe Gutierrez is following all of it tonight and leads us off.
Tonight, after being slammed with RSV patients for months, ICUs are now battling the next phase of the tripledemic.
It's becoming flu.
Dr. Tom Llamas is the chief clinical officer here at Yale New Haven Hospital.
How filled is this ICU on any given day?
100%.
100%. You're at capacity.
We are at capacity.
Today, the CDC estimated that so far this flu season in the U.S., there have been at least 13 million illnesses, 120,000 hospitalizations, and 7,300 deaths. The flu test positivity rate is about 25%. Last year at this time, it was less than 3%.
What would you tell someone who looks at what's happening and says, look, we have respiratory illnesses every winter?
I'd say that this year's different. This year's different because the volume of cases we're seeing is greater.
Across the country, public health officials are intensifying their preparations for a winter surge of the flu, COVID, and RSV. Today, New York City issued a health advisory strongly recommending but not mandating indoor masking this winter. L.A. is asking for the same as COVID hospitalizations in California have soared 150% over the past month.
You have a good nap?
In Reno, Nevada, Valerie Primo is grateful her 2-month-old daughter Emily, once seriously ill with RSV, is back home from the ICU.
That was when the thought of she might die crossed my head. It's really scary, especially for the little ones.
Back in Connecticut, Jennifer Barna has been a registered nurse for 20 years and never seen this many respiratory illnesses colliding at once.
It's hard for the staff, it's hard for patients, it's hard for families, so it's just a tricky, situation that we haven't seen before.
And Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from New Haven, Connecticut. Gabe, what is the CDC saying about these soaring flu numbers?
Well, Gadi, as we mentioned, RSV cases seem to be leveling off, but the CDC is really drawing attention to these soaring flu numbers. And they say one of the key things to look out for when it comes to determining how this is different from other years, and it's not just an issue of testing increasing, but they point to the flu hospitalization rate. And that, the CDC says, remains at its highest level in more than a decade. Gadi?
Gabe, thank you. NBC's senior medical correspondent, Dr. John Torres, joins us now to help break down all of this. Dr. John, a stat that stood out to me from Gabe's piece is that the current flu test positivity rate is about 25%, when this time last year it was about 3%. Does that mean our immune systems are weaker from all the time that we spent locked away because of COVID?
And God, that's not what it means, because our immune systems are still strong, but our immune systems work on a memory type basis. So if they haven't seen something in a couple of years because we were locked down, we weren't really socializing like the flu, then they're going to not be able to fight it quite as effectively. And that's one thing that's happening. But on top of that, something even more important is happening is we're not getting vaccinated at the rates that we should be for the flu. And we are socializing with a vengeance at this point. We are going back. And if you've been on an airplane, if you've been out shopping, if you've been in any social situation, you notice that people are going out there in abundance. And because of that, and rightly so, because we've been locked in for a while, that flu is going to spread. All these respiratory viruses are going to spread. And that's kind of the confluence of factors that's causing us to see these rates right now, Gotti.
And Dr. John, we're now talking about masking again. New York and L.A. have been recommending but not mandating masks indoors. Do you think after all this time people will mask up without a mandate?
Gotti, I hope so. But it's one of those things, I think, that if it had been a mandate, I think there would have been a lot of pushback there, because we've had those over the last few years. At the same time, they're making this recommendation, especially in areas where we know there's the flu, COVID, RSV, all these other respiratory viruses there. We know the two tools we have that can really help prevent these are the vaccines, which we have for flu and COVID, and then the mask, which, granted, a lot of us are tired of this, but it is still one of the best tools we can have. And what they're recommending, which I agree with, is if you're in an area, especially if it has high rates of any of these, especially if you're in a situation where you're shoulder to shoulder with somebody else, we need to wear the mask, because that's going to help keep these things under control. And like all the other infections we've seen, this is one of those things that's just going to take a few weeks, maybe a month or two, to get it back under control, and then we can go back to what we were doing before, Gotti.
And Dr. John, early on in the pandemic, we saw the masks be very effective against other diseases. Now it feels like we're in this perfect storm of COVID, RSV, and the flu that are packing hospitals nationwide. Is this more deadly than the height of the COVID pandemic when you start to factor in all the other diseases as well?
And at this point, it's not more deadly. And I think part of the reason is because, yes, the flu is out there, and we are seeing these cases of the flu and the numbers that Gabe was talking about the deaths and hospitalizations that are out there. But if you remember COVID, especially in that second wave, where we were looking at 800,000 cases, we were looking at 3,000 plus deaths a day from COVID. That was the deadly aspect of that virus. And now we're looking at flu, which we have tools for. We've had tools we've used in the past. And a lot of us have some built immunity in there, so it's going to keep us protected to a certain extent. But again, I think the word here is that we need to keep working to protect ourselves as well. So luckily, we're not at this stage now where we were a year ago or so when we had all those cases and deaths, but we want to make sure we don't get to that place, Gotti.
Some important context there. Thanks so much, Dr. John. We're going to turn now to the weather and the storm systems threatening both coasts. Out west, a major winter storm is wreaking havoc in northern parts of California here. Several rounds of rain and snow making for dangerous driving conditions. And in Madison, Wisconsin, snowfall has totaled up to 5 inches. That quick-moving system is set to hit the northeast by the end of the weekend. For more on the forecast, NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns joins us live now. Bill, what's the latest track on these two systems?
I mean, this is going to be an active week. I mean, not just this weekend. This is going to go all the way into next week with possible tornado outbreak and then maybe even an East Coast snowstorm towards the end of next week. But let's deal with the immediate threat, and that's the storm coming into the west. We have high winds. We got everything that you typically would get with these big major Pacific storms. You get high elevation snows. You get the problem with the burn scars, with the rain. And we also have high winds with this. We have high wind warnings in Northern California, coastline of Oregon, 60 to 90 mile per hour winds tonight. Even tomorrow morning in San Francisco, we could see some gusty winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. We're going to get a lot of rain out of this, as we mentioned, and also feet of snow, especially in the California Sierra. That's all good news. And then, Gotti, we end this week with that snow heading into the northeast. That's going to be Sunday evening. Not a big event, but it is the first snow of the season in that area. So a lot of people are getting their first time and first chance to do some shoveling.
A lot of snow. Thanks so much, Bill. And now to the homecoming of Brittney Griner, the basketball star landing in Texas before dawn today after she was detained in Russia for nearly 300 days. But the debate over the cost of her freedom is still ongoing as the man she was exchanged for, Russian arms dealer Victor Bout, speaks out. Andrea Mitchell has the details.
Tonight, Brittney Griner is back in the U.S., touching down in Texas, where military doctors will check her physical and mental health, and reunited with her wife, Sherelle, after 294 days in Russian captivity, the last month spent in a harsh penal colony. The WNBA and NBA celebrating the return of the seven-time All-Star known as BG.
We are glad that she's home. We're glad that she's reunited with her family.
Brittney could return to the court in the future after 10 months in prison, without good nutrition, without exercise, without physical fitness.
While, of course, we're all hopeful, but first and foremost, what's important is that she's feeling good and that she's back with her family.
While in Moscow, Russia's notorious arms dealer Viktor Bout's homecoming was broadcast live on state media. Vladimir Putin taking a victory lap today. Our new exchange is possible. Yes, everything is possible, he says. Nicknamed the Merchant of Death, Bout had served 11 years of a 25-year sentence in the U.S. on multiple charges, including conspiring to kill Americans. Before he was caught, running a global network of cargo planes delivering arms to terrorists around the world, including $50 million of weapons to the Taliban, and a plan to sell surface-to-air missiles, guns, and drones to Colombian rebels. Could he again become a threat to America?
I do believe that Putin and the Russians are hoping that Mr. Bout is going to be able to restart some of these activities.
Which is why some Republicans say he should never have been sent home.
It was a dangerous concession to Vladimir Putin, and it will set a dangerous precedent going forward.
The president promises to keep pressing to free another American the U.S. says is wrongfully jailed in Russia, businessman and former Marine Paul Whelan. But these negotiations have not included American teacher Mark Fogel, like Griner, arrested at a Moscow airport, possessing 17 grams of marijuana, he says for chronic back pain, more than Griner had. How do you feel about the U.S. government?
I'm a bit disenchanted with them at times. I feel like they have not given us a straight story.
The White House says that they made a national security assessment about Viktor Bout before the president signed off on releasing him, and a senior official says they will continue to protect U.S. security interests and make sure that Viktor Bout does not again become a threat to American lives. Gotti?
Andrea, thank you. For more on Brittney Griner's return home and the challenges she faces next, I want to bring in Liz Cathcart, the executive director of Hostage U.S., a nonprofit that supports families of Americans wrongfully detained abroad. Liz, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Brittney is now safely back here in the United States. There's a lot of relief going on, but what issues do wrongfully detained prisoners face when they get home?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me and for being interested in the support side of things. You know, we're thrilled to have Brittney home and, of course, saddened every day that there's many more families who aren't reunited. But we're hoping with, the advocacy of the Bring Our Families Home campaign and the administration's work, we can have this conversation many more times to come and have folks return home more so this year. So the first thing to recognize, and, the question is, what do they face? And the first thing to recognize is that they really do need that support, right? There's buckets of practical issues, of physical health issues, and mental health issues that you need to address when you come home for, captives of any length of time. And Brittney being held for 10 months is a significant period of time to be held in pretty abysmal circumstances. The first and foremost thing that she'd want to get checked out, which she's doing in San Antonio, is that physical health aspect. Oftentimes people come home with issues of malnutrition, having really poor diets, not seeing the sunlight for 10 months, can have a really, really serious impact on your just day-to-day health and your vitamin D levels, on your sleep and things like that. So what she's doing now is vitally important.
And in your experience, what is Brittney going through psychologically now that she's back?
Yeah, and that's a really important piece of it, because this ordeal is such a long-term, constantly stressful situation. So for 10 months, she's dealt with high levels of anxiety and stress for such a long duration that, you come home and it's a sense of course, relief, but it's also a sense of what's next and decompressing from that time of high stress and high anxiety. One of the really big challenges for former hostages is actually just a piece of lack of concentration. You know, you have spent so many months just worrying about your safety and your freedom. You haven't had to make many decisions on your own, and you come home and it's really difficult to concentrate on any decisions that you have to make and start to rebuild that capacity for decision making and concentration.
And before we let you go, another really quick question. I want to talk about the other American that's wrongfully detained in Russia, Paul Whelan. He's now approaching his 4th year of his detainment. Do we know whether he's aware of her release, and what does this news do to his mental state?
Yeah, it seems from other reporting that he is aware, and and he said that he's, you know, pleased to hear she's released, but also, you know, devastated that he wasn't included in that. And, you know, we can only imagine how devastating, right? That is the word, how devastating it is for him to spend another day in prison, rightfully for the family, you know, his family and the other families who are waiting for their loved ones to come home as well. It's a joyous moment to see a family reunite, but it's also a, you know, moment to recognize that it's another day that they are without their own loved ones.
Liz, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And now a major move in Washington, and out in the Southwest, Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema announcing she is registering as an independent just days after Democrats secured a razor-thin majority in the Senate. Ryan Nobles has more on how Sinema's move could impact the balance of power.
Tonight, a political sonic boom from Arizona. Senator Kyrsten Sinema announcing she's leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent.
Registering as an independent and showing up to work with the title of independent is a reflection of who I've always been. Nothing's going to change for me.
Sinema often votes with Democrats, but had been a holdout on key items of the Biden agenda.
My stand today is about joining the many Americans and lots of Arizonans, in fact, the majority of registered voters, who don't believe that any political party fits them perfectly.
Her stunning move comes just as Democrats had been celebrating, winning their 51st vote, a clear majority, after Raphael Warnock's runoff victory in Georgia. But the impact of the change may be minimal. Democrats will still maintain narrow Senate control. Sinema, along with centrist Democrat Joe Manchin, had shown a willingness to buck her former party on a range of issues, including opposing a move to change historic Senate filibuster rules to allow Democrats to pass legislation without Republican support.
Our mandate, it seems evident to me. Work together.
While her votes have sometimes angered Democrats, tonight the Senate's top Democrat calling her a, quote, good and effective senator. The White House saying they believe their relationship with the Arizona senator won't change.
We have every reason to expect that we will continue to work with her successfully.
And tonight, Arizona voters reacting to the news.
She did a disservice and misrepresented the democratic values that we voted her in for. And so I'm actually really glad that she is leaving.
I think it's good to show that somebody in power can actually be an independent rather than just Republican or Democrat.
And this is a political calculation for Sinema. There are more registered independent voters in Arizona than there are Democrats. And it is very likely that she would face a stiff challenge in a Democratic primary if she runs again in 2024. Gotti?
Thank you for that. And for more political analysis, let's bring in senior national politics reporter John Allen. John, we saw the White House there offering support to Sinema publicly. They're saying that their working relationship will not change. What does this new split mean for the Senate, and what's it going to do to the balance of power and the Biden agenda? Is she more of a linchpin now?
I mean, ultimately, I don't think it's going to have that big of an effect on Washington. She's going to continue to support the Democrats as the majority party, serve on her committees. The numbers really won't change as far as that goes. Simply the numbers that we report in terms of number of Democrats, number of Republicans, number of independents. But there are now 3 independents, her, Angus King, and Bernie Sanders of Vermont, all of whom caucus with the Democrats. She likes to say she doesn't attend the Democratic caucus meetings, so I guess she doesn't technically caucus with them in that sense, but for balance of power issues, it really shouldn't change much. I think the real question is, what does this do to the political map in 2024? Should she seek re-election in Arizona? And, you know, Democratic powers that be in Washington are going to have to make a decision about whether they're going to back her and try to clear the field of Democrats, back her as an independent, or if they will support a Democrat and risk splitting the Democratic and independent votes they would need to beat a Republican in that race.
Now, I didn't bring up 2024, you did, but since we're on the topic, she hasn't confirmed whether she's going to run for re-election. But if she does, how does her dropping the Democrats to be an independent impact who's going to run as a Dem and who's going to run as a Republican in Arizona? Are there any names that are already being floated out?
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about our democratic system is that nobody controls who runs. And Ruben Gallego, a congressman from Arizona, a pretty progressive Democrat, was rattling his saber about a potential primary run against Sinema. His name has absolutely been in circulation today as a possible Democratic candidate for that seat. In addition, what our colleagues at NBC have been reporting today, particularly Mark Caputo, my colleague on the digital side, reporting that Mark Lamb, the sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, which is pretty famous for its harsh treatment of suspects and particularly of immigrants, he's basically been asked to run by some of the poobahs in the Arizona Republican Party.
Arizona remains a state to watch. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
And still ahead tonight, motive for murder. Former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh back in court. Why prosecutors now say he allegedly killed his wife and son. Plus, the drag racing crash caught on camera on a Texas highway. The charges one of those drivers is now facing. And World Cup shocker. Tournament favorite Brazil knocked out by Croatia. Who that team will now face in the semifinals, we've got that coming up just next. And we're back now with the high-profile former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh, who appeared in court today leading up to the trial for the murder of his wife and son. Prosecutors now saying his motive was to take attention away from the laundry list of other alleged crimes. Sam Brock has the latest.
Tonight, the once prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh back in the courtroom yet again. Unshackled to prevent bias, wearing a sports coat, spectacles, and a new head of hair since his last appearance. He faces murder charges for killing his wife Maggie and son Paul, and his attorneys want to know what evidence the prosecution will bring to trial.
The reason that we had asked for a bill of particulars is because, as Your Honor knows, that character evidence, evidence of bad acts, other criminal conduct is not admissible in a criminal trial.
The bill of particulars, a common defense tactic, according to legal analysts, to feel out where the state might be going with its case, with 1.2 million pages of government documents.
This is commonly called by defense attorneys haystacking, when the prosecution dumps terabytes of data and documents on the defense, and the defense has to look through it for that proverbial needle in the haystack.
South Carolina prosecutors, nonetheless, painting a picture of why they think Murdaugh might have done the unthinkable. The scion of a prominent family, about to be exposed, they said, for years of financial crimes.
This is an unbroken chain of constant lies and misappropriations and thefts that has been going on for so long. A hamster wheel on which this man has been on constantly, having to borrow, to earn, to steal millions of dollars.
Murdaugh was charged by a grand jury in July, more than a year after the murders occurred, and he's pleaded
not guilty.
But he also faces more than 80 other charges for various crimes, including forgery, drug trafficking, and money laundering. The South Carolina man's fall from grace as a powerful attorney, disturbingly layered. There's alleged criminal behavior, opioid addiction, and mysterious deaths surrounding his family. Murdaugh's attorneys have previously admitted some financial wrongdoing and drug use.
Look, he's reconciled to the fact he's going to prison.
But today, all eyes on the upcoming murder trial.
Why this particular individual would murder his own wife and son? And the answer is because it allowed him to escape the accountability that was coming upon him that he's never had to deal with in his entire life.
And Sam Brock joins us now from Miami. Sam, one of the key points of this hearing seemed to be about Murdaugh's shirt from the day of the alleged murders. What do we know about that?
Yeah, this was an interesting conversation, Gotti. This was the first part of the hearing today where SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Department, had looked at the shirt that Alex Murdaugh was wearing the night of the murders. The analyst they hired to look at it said initially there's no blood spatter on here. Then later decided, yes, there is blood spatter, but is it human blood? That seemed to be an open-ended question. So the defense wanted the communications between this analyst and the state so they could see for themselves exactly what that back and forth was. And oh, by the way, the shirt itself has been destroyed, so it can't be tested again. The judge found in favor of the defense. And Gotti, just to give you some context for this conversation and the importance of this family in South Carolina, as they're having it, we learned there's a portrait of Murdaugh's grandfather in the courtroom that has to be removed before the trial in January. Gotti?
It was such a fascinating case. Thanks so much, Sam. When we come back, the possible shark attack in Hawaii. A woman goes missing while snorkeling. What her husband says happened just before she disappeared. Back now with Top Stories news feed, and we begin with a search for a woman who went missing while snorkeling with her husband in Hawaii. Her husband telling authorities the couple came across a shark off the coast of Maui when the 60-year-old disappeared. He then swam to the shore, called 911. Now authorities say they did not find her, but they did find a snorkel equipment and part of her bathing suit. And now to the drag racing crash caught on camera on a Texas highway. A dash cam capturing the moment two speeding cars slammed into each other in Dallas, causing one to roll over. At least two people were hospitalized. One of those drivers is now facing several charges, including DUI. And the latest in the World Cup tournament, favorite Brazil has been knocked out by Croatia. The five-time World Cup champions losing in a penalty shootout. Despite that loss, though, Brazilian star Neymar scoring his 77th goal, tying soccer legend Pelé as Brazil's top men's scorer. Croatia will now face Argentina in the semifinals on Tuesday. And now to our NBC News investigation into sexual harassment among law enforcement. We've examined dozens of cases in 4 major U.S. cities over the last 5 years, and we found they've cost taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. Now, this is a deep dive that our Stephanie Gosk has been working on for months, and here's what she uncovered.
Women make up less than 20% of the Los Angeles Police Department. Linda Allstott used to be one of them, working in internal affairs.
I remember as a child, that's something that I always admired. I'd see police officers, and it was just something about them that they'd always be the ones helping, and it was like a family. So I was like, I want to be a part of that.
Nearly a decade on the force, until she says she was sexually harassed by her boss.
And I'd be speaking to him, and he'd glance up and down, you know, from my head. You could see it. And he'd make comments, you know, to me, you know, you look good in that. You know, you could wear that for me anytime.
He also kept asking questions about her personal life.
He would start asking me, who are you dating? And you don't come see me anymore because I'm keeping my distance. I flat out told him, that's none of your business.
Allstott says he then crossed a line and used LAPD internal surveillance on her.
What I thought he stopped, he did not. Because weeks later, I had found out that I was surveilled to find out who I was dating.
What runs through your mind in that moment? I mean, you had your superior saying things to you that were inappropriate. This is now another level. What are you thinking?
I didn't know what to make of it because this is something that I haven't ever seen happen. The whole thing was a nightmare.
She eventually made the tough decision to tell management.
Are you worried about your career?
Absolutely. My pension, my career, my assignments, everything.
But nothing happened to him. Instead, she says there was even more surveillance.
And my daughter's looking out the window and she says, Mom, she says, why are they following you? She says, aren't you the police? Why are the police following you?
Your daughter asked you that?
Yeah. That is the hardest thing to have to explain to a child. And that stuck with me forever.
Allstott is not alone in experiencing sexual harassment and retaliation from a fellow officer. An NBC News investigation of law enforcement agencies around the country found female officers are often punished for coming forward with allegations of sexual misconduct in the workplace. A review of 65 sexual harassment cases within the last 5 years in 4 major cities, including LA, cost taxpayers more than $40 million. Carolyn Clark, a K-9 officer in the LAPD, says she went through something similar similar.
Do you miss the job?
Every single day. Every single day. I love it. I loved it.
What was it that you loved about it?
Just working with the dogs I loved. I could have done that for the rest of my life.
Clark felt things change when her new supervisor joined the team.
He would do a lot of like touching me and touching my shoulders and showing up to a lot of my calls. One of the guys in the unit said, yeah, he's made some weird comments about you. And he told me what those comments were. And I just remember wanting to get in my car and drive home.
Can you tell us what he said?
He said, oh, I get now why you wanted to be a bloodhound handler, because if I got to run behind that, I'd want to be a bloodhound handler too. And I thought, that's such a weird thing for a supervisor to say about his female employee.
Two of Clark's fellow officers, Dave Doros and Elliot Zibley, say they saw it too and tried to stop it.
He came into the unit and started almost immediately talking about her body.
We had collective talks where we cornered him and basically told him to just knock it off. This has to stop. This has to stop now.
It didn't stop.
No.
I would say it doubled down.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I wouldn't go to the canine office, or I would drive by, and if his truck was there, I wouldn't go in.
Together, they reported the harassment. But just like in Allstott's case, there was retribution. Their bosses took away opportunities and made it harder for them to do their jobs.
So now we can't train when we want to train. We can't train where we want to train. If we want to train, we need a supervisor there. If your training is suffering, then your work is going to suffer. And it was like everything that they could touch, they touched.
Her male colleagues felt it too.
We broke the rules. We broke the code of silence. We came and brought misconduct and misconduct of a supervisor to light. And so we were going to be punished for that.
Both Allstott and Clark felt they were left with no other option. They each ended up suing the city for sexual harassment and retaliation.
You took the case to court. Was that scary?
Terrifying. To me, it was about, I want the truth to be told. And I want them to believe me that here's all the evidence that I have. And I had a lot. So I had no choice but to go forward.
It's only a lawsuit that gets their attention. Because they can just swipe everything else under the rug. But they can't do that with a verdict.
Doros and Zibley also sued with Clark.
It came to a point where something had to be done. We either basically turn around and walk away and let this continue, or we take a stand, because this can't continue.
Do I teach my son that it's okay to be abused and just shut up about it? And do I teach my daughters that it's okay for men to treat women like that in an institution, in an organization like the LAPD?
Clark settled her case for $1.6 million, and the city did not admit wrongdoing. But her male colleagues went all the way to trial and won. The jury unanimously found they were retaliated against, and the city paid them $6.7 million. Allstott also went to trial and had a unanimous jury verdict. She received nearly $1.9 million, but says it was only a partial victory.
Do you feel like your career was kind of robbed from you?
Absolutely. Because I was going to do more.
The Me Too movement changed the conversation in workplaces nationwide.
Rise up for the women of the world, for the women of the world, rise up!
But in law enforcement, these officers say little has changed.
You think it's probably a more common experience than is reported?
The sexual harassment?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because I've spoken to many women about it.
In a statement, the LAPD says it is untrue that sexual misconduct is rampant and has a zero-tolerance policy for harassment and retaliation, adding, there are individual instances where members of the organization have fallen short of our expectations.
When you look back at how all of this played out, would you have done anything differently?
It's really sad to say it, but I would have kept my mouth shut. And that feels so wrong to say it. We did all this, and what came out of it? There's no change. Nothing happened.
Clark is speaking out now because she hopes change is possible. But in these two cases, no one accused was fired. Everyone who came forward left the job. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Stephanie, thank you. And we'll be right back. Whiskey is in high demand, just not for drinking. Collectors are investing in rare liquor bottles, and some of them are going for millions. We got the chance to get our hands on some of that liquid gold. Take a look. Long gone are the days where 2 fingers of whiskey was just a drink of choice. Nowadays, it's the bottle so many are after. As more investors trade stocks by day, but collectors booze by night. And the amounts they are paying on rare and fine bottles is staggering, but so are the returns. Up 402% over the past decade, beating out luxury cars and fine art. It's like liquid gold.
Yeah, it really is.
Gold liquid wouldn't even be worth this much, right?
That's probably right, yeah.
Peter Jarjour is the owner of Flask Fine Wine and Whiskey in Los Angeles. The storefront might look like your ordinary liquor store, but behind the scenes, in a highly secured off-site showroom, you can find some of the most expensive bottles of whiskey in the world. So how much are you selling this guy for?
It's about $190,000.
$190,000?
Yeah, be careful.
Oh my gosh. Yikes. Here, you take it. I know.
Thank you.
That makes me very nervous. That is a down payment on a house. You might think no one buys bottles this expensive, but old whiskeys are now regularly fetching 6 figures at auctions. A report released this year by Scottish investment bank Noble & Co. found that strong investor demand has pushed the value of fine and rare single malt whiskeys up by more than 20% this year. How often are you selling something like this?
Pretty often. I mean, it is a retail store, so like we're supposed to be selling stuff, but it really kind of breaks my heart when people buy stuff like this because we don't have it anymore.
And as the markets continue their roller coaster ride, rare and fine whiskey could be a tempting investment, rivaling gold and silver.
Whoever bought this off the shelf paid $50 for it, and now it's about $7,500.
That is, if you don't pour yourself a glass first. So when it comes to whiskey and investments, it's not just buy low, sell high. It's like, don't drink it. Ever.
If you have the willpower, yeah.
And with those prices, I think I might stick with the house. Big thanks to Peter for showing us what is on the tippity top of the shelf. And thanks so much for watching Top Story. For Tom Llamas, I'm Gotti Schwartz out here in Los Angeles. Stay right there, because more news is on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.